Okay, so upon emergency reaction request because of the crazy thing that I saw um, while hanging out with my bros today, we're gonna react to this. This is a very OG video that I did not know even existed, but because of y'all had told me and sent it to me in the link in the Discord reaction request. Linkara Atop the Fourth Wall did a review of the apparent Kool-Aid Man comic Adventures of Kool-Aid Man, issue 1. I like to say that I appreciate Linkara for doing this. I did not know he had done this, and we're gonna have a look at it. And keep in mind that like this video is very old. Well, not old, but it looks old. But yeah. So a young Linkara, I can see it. He looks young.
Why? Why make a comic about the Kool-Aid Man? Look, I understand US 1. I understand Nightcat. I even understand NFL Super Pro. But this? It's the friggin' Kool-Aid Man! And yeah, the thing was given out for promotions and not really sold in stores, but that makes even less sense. You've already got commercials that feature the guy prominently. What's the point of licensing it out to Marvel to produce a comic book that no one will read? Get it? No one will read this! It's a comic book about the Kool-Aid Man! The Kool-Aid Man is not cool! He's a public menace, destroying walls and buildings so he can pour his sugary juice out for people. For those who have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, the Kool-Aid Man is, well, just that, the Kool-Aid Man, the mascot of the juice drink Kool-Aid. His primary characteristic is to burst through walls and yell, "Oh yeah!" And thus we come to the conclusion of my series on the depths that Marvel will sink to.
Also, I just realized I had looked it up while I was watching the death battle scene of Kool-Aid Man versus Macho Man Randy Savage, which is why we're even making this video. Kool-Aid Man now is a plush. Do not be surprised if I get this plush. I'm just throwing it out there. Don't be surprised. I literally found out today this man is basically Jesus. Well, not this man, but yeah, the Kool-Aid Man is basically Jesus. Okay? Do with that as you will.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for making money. I don't have a problem with Marvel getting licenses or singers or even food mascots.
Well, yeah, but the Kool-Aid Man, though?
But at the same time, I really have to consider the fact that Marvel wasted a print run on a comic that no one would be interested in, no one would read, and would basically be considered a joke by adults and kids. That's why I say depths they'll sink to. Why can't they make good comics and make money at the same time? They wasted time and effort producing a comic like this when I'm sure there was some other miniseries that could have been made about a secondary character who never got the spotlight. That's my problem with it. It's just wasteful. Oh, and that sucks. But don't take my word for it. Well, actually, you don't have to. It's a comic about the Kool-Aid Man. There's no way this concept could be good. So let's just dig in.
I'm surprised he found it. I'm surprised he had a comic about the Kool-Aid Man. Oh, this is very classic. I am Man Punch.
Okay, I tend to be negative about covers, so I'll say a positive first. This cover is not boring. It makes no sense, but it certainly isn't boring. I mean, look at this. The Kool-Aid Man is leaping through the hull of a spaceship, which appears to be as strong as saltine crackers, and yelling his catchphrase, despite the fact that he's halfway in space and there's no air. Oh, but let's not forget the fact that he's bursting through the wall, but the pieces aren't immediately being sucked back into space thanks to decompression. Oh, and what's with the spacesuits on the kids? It's like the cover to Sci-Fi. Slap a fishbowl on their heads and bam, no suffocation. I mean, it didn't even change out of their street clothes. Oh, and again, like Sci-Fi, these kids never wear these helmets in the comic. Then there are these freaks of evolution. Yellow entities that resemble the angry sun from Mario with huge green tongues. As he battles the Thirsties in outer space and on the baseball field. The
Thirsties?
The Kool-Aid Man is fighting the Thirsties. Our story begins on a hot summer day at
That's
a
what they're
snack bar
called?
where we meet a group of annoying children. Oh no, Sam's snack bar is closed, and the water fountain isn't working. Oh no, if only there had been some adults around who would normally supply water bottles at an event like this. You know, like what happens in real life. Inside the snack bar, the Thirsties discuss their sinister plans. We Thirsties have done it again. Thanks to us, the small-town sluggers feel totally rotten. Yes, our plans to temporarily inconvenience some grade schoolers are going swimmingly. However, it's talking pitchers to the rescue as the Kool-Aid Man bursts through the wall. I knew you low-down Thirsties were behind this. You enjoy spoiling kids' fun. That's why I'm here to save the day. Oh, yeah! Well, thanks for making the shop owner there feel even worse, Kool-Aid Man. Now he's gonna patch that hole up. Head for the hills! It's Kool-Aid Man! Now Thirsty is safe with him around. Guys, his primary method of attack is a pitcher of juice. I think you can take him. However, the Thirsties are incapable of outrunning the rotund glass man and are captured. The Kool-Aid Man even ties them up with sausage links. Wow. Anyway, the snack shop reopens and the kids spot the Kool-Aid Man. And of course, they're not the least bit put off by the giant mascot who talks to them. Kool-Aid Man, I'd like you to meet my friends. Sigmund Smart. I'm the brains on this team. Oh, trust me, there were no brains involved in this crap. Cynthia Crystal. I can't wait to tell my friends that I met the Kool-Aid Man in person. I'll become even more of a social outcast. Mickey Richardson. I bet you're as strong as the Hulk. Yes, Marvel, we get it. You landed the license to this comic. It's not something to be proud of. And Gloria Green. Far out. I'm totally high right now. This doesn't seem weird to me at all. It's been great meeting all of you, but I've got to get back to my secret headquarters to continue my never-ending battle against the insatiable
Your secret
Thirsties.
headquarters?
He has his own secret headquarters. The Kool-Aid Man has his own Kool-Aid cave. The Kool-Aid Man has his own secret headquarters. The Kool-Aid Man invites the kids along to join him in his new Kool Copter, and they gladly accept as long as they're home for dinner on time. Wow, this situation doesn't have
Kool
complications
Copter?
or anything. So it turns out that this quote-unquote secret headquarters is shaped like a giant pitcher and has a sign out front that says, Number 1 Kool-Aid Plaza. You know, I've heard of hiding in plain sight, but I don't think this is what they were thinking. Fasten your seatbelts. We're coming in for a landing.
Yeah, but, okay, I understand where Linkara is coming from, but you gotta admit, if this mother trucker can come through a spaceship, tear a hole into it, without needing any air to breathe, why would he even be worried about anybody coming to his headquarters? From what I understand, the Kool-Aid Man has infinite power. As long as his Kool-Aid can come in contact with anything, he can literally manifest anything. He can literally do anything he wants. He's literally a fructose corn syrup liquid entity. I cannot believe I just said that. But Jesus, like, come on. Look at this. This is ridiculous. And yet, oh my gosh.
Fasten your seatbelts. We're coming in for a landing. We're going right through that ceiling. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the Kool-Aid Man has a high-tech facility, but what's it all for? I invented all this stuff to help me keep an eye on those pesky thirsties. They're always trying to spoil everyone's fun, and it's my job to stop them. So the thirsties are just an entire society of assholes? What do they get out of this? An alarm comes in, alerting the Kool-Aid Man that the thirsties are at it again. Those kids worked up a big thirst playing volleyball, and now the thirsties want to spoil their fun. So, wait a second. The computer display shows the thirsties attacking. Does this mean that the Kool-Aid Man has cameras set up all throughout the world just watching people? Big Brother isn't watching us. The Kool-Aid Man is. The Kool-Aid Man sees you when you're sleeping. The Kool-Aid Man sees you in your nightmares. So the Kool-Aid Man and the Kid Brigade arrive. The Kool-Aid Man suddenly bursts through a sign on the beach. Dude, that sign was not in your way! You just jumped through it for no other reason than to be a jerk! And yeah, I know the sign has stupid crap like no fun and was probably set up by the thirsties, but I'm sure you really just did it to maintain your trademark. So get this, the Kool-Aid Man grabs one of the thirsties and uses him like a bowling ball to knock down the others, who are conveniently running in a formation like bowling pins. By the way, where did he put down his drink? He's always carrying the thing around like it's his baby, and yet it vanishes when he tosses the guy. Then again, I am once again asking for logic in a comic about the Kool-Aid Man. You know, what does the Kool-Aid Man do with the thirsties after he beats them up? Does he hand them over to the police? Yeah, I guess they've broken a few laws, but then again, why is anyone supporting the Kool-Aid Man's vigilante activities so readily? With their victory over the thirsties, they return to Kool-Aid Cave, and annoying kid number 3 invites the Kool-Aid Man to their softball game the next day. At that game, the coach gives a boring speech which literally makes the kids fall asleep before the game, after which annoying kid number 3 carries off annoying kid number 4. Aren't we both getting carried away here? There isn't enough wah-wah music in the world to make up for that pun. Annoying kid number 2 wonders if the Kool-Aid Man will show up at the game, but the young Mr. Brain responds like so. Cynthia, we mustn't be so selfish. We can't expect the Kool-Aid Man to turn his back on the constant threat of the thirsties just so he can be at our little softball game. Does the Kool-Aid Man even sleep? He says earlier that watching out for the thirsties is a 24-hour job. And who built his headquarters? And why doesn't he have assistants for this?
It just raises too many questions.
In the crowd, 2 adults are cheering for their respective home teams, prompting one fellow in a golf hat to comment, "With home teams like this, who needs the World Series?" I agree. It's certainly more interesting than the depiction of the World Series from last week's comic. Naturally, the thirsties are there disguised as vendors. One of them even runs onto the field and grabs the second base plate and runs off with it. What truly evil creatures, stealing that easily replaceable plate! These creatures are such unbelievable dicks that apparently their very presence wilts flowers. Wow. Next, they run out onto the field as one of our protagonists is sliding towards home base. Yes, apparently my analysis of them looking like suns is completely accurate, since they shine their own bodies on the umpire and the players so they can't see.
She blinded me with science.
What sort of messed up evolutionary chain would create these things? Are they aliens? Where are their internal organs? How can they just radiate like that?
Oh, they're aliens.
They wear pants. But you know what? Putting all of those perfectly legitimate questions aside, there's one really important question from the scene that demands an answer. Where is security? Or the cops? The thirsties have attacked this field multiple times now, and there hasn't even been a token show of resistance. So anyway, since the umpire didn't see the kid sliding, they have to redo his turn at bat, making people more miserable. Our plan is working perfectly. No one is having any fun, except us. And we still have 1,298 ways left to spoil their game. Really, they sat down and made a list of all the various ways they could be jackasses at a softball game.
Wow.
This must be their culture's religion or something. So with everyone growing increasingly agitated, they finally decide screw it and call for the Kool-Aid Man, who instantly arrives and smashes through a sign. I can't wait for the Kool-Aid Man to be at the next PTA meeting where we learn that they have to cut funding to art and music so the school can afford a new score sign. So the Kool-Aid Man just tosses the Thirsties into a conveniently placed lake or something. Yeah, I don't know where the large body of water came from either. What gets me is that somehow these dingbats didn't think to do this without the aid of their savior, the pitcher of juice. You know, if the Thirsties are like miniature sentient suns, isn't dumping them into water killing them? I mean, their bodies are actually sizzling the water as they swim away, and they don't look happy, so it seems pretty evident to me that the Kool-Aid Man is a homicidal maniac. Oh, but we're not done yet. See, there are 2 stories in this epic tale, and here comes the one from the cover. Thirst in Space! So we meet a different group of annoying kids at an amusement park. Wow, just imagine being at an amusement park right now instead of this. The kids insult the designated nerd among them. What about you, Mr. Know-It-All? Are you having fun? Scott, my name is Warren Wilkinson, not Mr. Know-It-All, and I will admit that these illogical rides are amusing. What exactly is illogical about amusement park rides?
That, sir, is illogical.
Anyway, to restore my audience's sense and well-being, here's a giant thirsty monster. Its diabolical plan is to ruin everyone's fun by making them feel hot. Dear God, you're mad! It's not like they're at an amusement park where there's ice cream and water and soda readily available at concession stands. Naturally, there's a ship in orbit that, okay, now they're flat out stealing the angry sun from Super Mario Brothers. They're not even trying anymore. Okay, somehow this group of kids is able to summon the Kool-Aid Man, who bursts through the wall of a funhouse. That makes no sense! I know that's kind of a redundant statement when it comes to this comic, but they're outside of the funhouse. That means he must have been inside of it when they called out to him. What was he doing there? Isn't he always searching for the Thirsties? So the Kool-Aid Man taunts the giant Thirsty, since that's such a wise tactic, and actually tries to punch it. Damn, somehow, despite the Kool-Aid Man lacking any such biology, he's got serious gonads. However, the punch passes right through the giant. The Kool-Aid Man reasons that that's because the giant's not real, that it's a hologram. Yes, you heard me, a hologram, which the comic points out is a 3-dimensional image made of light. Which makes so much sense, considering there's no projector, plus he was clearly menacing everyone earlier by blowing hot air on them and all. I didn't know light could do that.
Right.
Oh,
I didn't know that either.
Nothing compared to the brilliant plan the Kool-Aid Man utilizes. Yeah, he takes a large mirror and somehow aims it in such a way as to reflect the light back into space, despite the fact that he's clearly aiming the mirror down at the ground. After the Kool-Aid Man lands, everyone's more than happy to thank him for saving them from the non-threatening hologram. Why, one girl even asks to kiss him. His reaction? Oh yeah! I wonder if those ice cubes in his head ever melt. I admire the way you used logic to defeat the hologram of that giant thirst
I think it's
monster.
part of his powers.
There's more logic in a frickin' Sudoku puzzle than there was in that dumbass plan. Oh, and with the laziest of segues, we find ourselves next to Professor Otis Klein and his crazy rocket. Why he has it in an amusement park is anyone's guess, considering he says this ship is apparently designed to go into outer space. The only problem? He can't figure out how to make it start. Yes, he made the damn thing, but he has no clue how to turn it on. I can't make this stuff up, people. So the Kool-Aid Man trips and accidentally starts up the rocket, launching them into space. Yeah, at this point, my brain has just become a puddle of mush that's accepting this nonsense. They pass an airplane where someone on it says that they just saw a UFO. The comic decides to inform us that a UFO stands for Unidentified Flying Object. And, you know, I do think they did need that, since the only people who would enjoy this comic have a brain about the size of a sea monkey. So the kids, since they've seen enough science fiction movies, I'm serious here, say they know how to fly any spaceship. Dear Lord, this makes the premise of Armageddon actually seem plausible by comparison. So they see the Thirsties' spaceship, which immediately fires upon them. If the Thirsties' spaceship has advanced laser weapons on it, why in the hell are they screwing around with holograms when they can just lay waste to cities? That would ruin people's fun! The Kool-Aid Man dons a jetpack and flies out to confront the Thirsties, crashing through the wall, of course. I'm curious how the Kool-Aid that makes up the Kool-Aid Man doesn't instantly freeze in the vacuum of space, but hey, we're almost done. So the Kool-Aid Man just stands there while the Thirsties use their thirst ray on him, but the Kool-Aid Man is immune because he's, red. So the thirst ray overloads and blows up in their faces, causing them to instantly surrender. Yes, these guys surrendered because the Kool-Aid Man is just standing there. You know, I think this is a sign we should stop making fun of the French as cowards. For one thing, French resistance and all that during World War II, kicking ass like nobody's business. And secondly, the Thirsties prove there's a considerably more wussy civilization out there. So not even bothering to take the Thirsties into custody or anything, the Kool-Aid Man just leaves and manages to get back to Earth by, being red. And so our comic ends with everyone sharing a laugh at the poor professor who still doesn't know how his spaceship that he built himself is supposed to work. This comic sucks in every conceivable way. You can't say it was meant for kids. Kids are smarter than this crap. The villains are lousy, the characters are non-entities, and again, it's a comic about the friggin' Kool-Aid Man! And not only does this comic mock science on almost every page, but it's a mockery of God, too, since there's no way in hell he'd ever create beings like the Thirsties and the Kool-Aid Man!
Kids play harder than anybody else, and there's nothing like a kid's big thirst.
Oh yeah, I'm on my way.
You can do it all, and you got to have some.
Here I come to save the day.
Oh my god. Kool-Aid to the rescue.
So I see, refreshing and bright, yeah.
Got to have some more. All right. It's Kool-Aid to the rescue. The one more kids.
Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix.
For a kid's big thirst.
I don't know what else is. You know what? Screw it. Let's look at the second video. Hold on. We're gonna look at the second video because we're here now. So, fine. Let's do it.
Enter the long box of the damned 2018 bumper contest, if you dare. Adventures of... There's another one of these? And yes, I know the title's below me on YouTube. I'm looking at my own website. Either way, what?
Hold up, look up.
My shock at this thing's existence doesn't really hold quite the same weight these days, since I already announced last week that I was doing it. Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. There are comic books based on the Kool-Aid Man. And I reviewed the first one of them back in 2009, which led to one of my most infamous examples of a mistake I had made, speculating that the Kool-Aid Man would freeze in space when, as so many people were keen to point out, he would actually boil. If any of you are new here, these are the kinds of intellectual discussions we have on this show, debates about the fate of corporate mascots in the vacuum of space. Adventures of the Kool-Aid Man was produced by Marvel for its first 3 issues and apparently available via proof of purchase mail-in. For whatever reason, issues 4 through 9 were shifted over to Archie to be produced, and thankfully there were no more comics after that. Honestly, I should have looked at more issues of this a long time ago. The closest we came was when I looked at Jello Man's comic. How did you get into space? How did you get into space?
There's a Jello Man comic? Okay, so we just making comics of anything we want now, huh? That what we doing? If I find a Gumby comic, a comic about Gumby, I'm reading it. If y'all got me sitting here looking at Lankara reviewing this comic book, I better find that somebody made a comic about Gumby. Cause I loved Gumby when I was growing up, so
I don't know why I was so shocked by that. The Kool-Aid Man did it first. So yeah, in the first issue, we saw that not only did the Kool-Aid Man have his own headquarters shaped like, well, himself, but also that he's constantly spying on everyone on Earth in order to foil his enemies, the Thirsties, some kind of alien creatures shaped like suns with long green tongues hanging out who exist to be assholes to people and make them thirsty. However, while dehydration is certainly an issue, the Kool-Aid Man proves to be the larger menace, unable or unwilling to go anywhere without breaking stuff. There's staying on brand, and then there's wreck other people's property by bursting through it when you can easily go around it. He also trips and starts up a rocket that allows him and some kids to go into space to fight the Thirsties in their actual Death Star. And yes, drugs are very bad. Why do you ask? Look, the simple fact is that some characters were not meant to exist for more than 30 seconds at a time, and the Kool-Aid Man is one of them. So let's dig into Adventures of the Kool-Aid Man #2 and see what new spore of madness this is. The cover is, well, credit where credit is due. It's not a bad cover. It displays something that happens in the comic. It's dynamic. It's attention-grabbing. Mind you, it's attention-grabbing because it features the Kool-Aid Man busting out of a time machine that is landed in the 1700s! That is what is happening in this comic! As he battles the Thirsties through time and on a camping adventure. One of these things is not like the other. Oh, and of course he had to burst through the doors of the time machine in order to get out, breaking said doors. Who knows if doing that did any more damage? Good job stranding these kids in the past, jackass. Also, how the hell does he even fit in there? The time machine looks like it has computer equipment inside of it, and the kids in it can barely fit in there as it is. Is this thing a TARDIS? Doctor Who would be a very different series if the Doctor regenerated into the Kool-Aid Man. Oh, and helpfully, the time machine has Time Machine written across the top of it. Thank God for that. I was confused for a second there and thought it was a gazebo. A 60-cent value. This thing cost me $7.50 with shipping. Up yours.
Wow.
The two things the Kool-Aid Man always brings with him: a pitcher of his own blood and a trademark symbol that floats near him. But yeah, they have used this device to travel through time, I guess. And then on the way, their time machine accidentally hits another one, driven by 3 idiots who claim that Wolverine evolved from an otter. We open on a 4th of July picnic in Small Town. Population 7 million. One girl is listening to her tape player during the picnic. I've got the beat, yeah! Thank you, comic, for reminding me that I could be listening to the Go-Go's right now instead of reading you. I should note that the main kids in this story are, in fact, the same ones from the space story in the first issue. Yeah, shockingly, they're maintaining continuity between issues. I have no idea why. It's not like there's character development or anything. While some have distinct personalities, you could easily interchange all the kids each time, and it would make no difference. Hell, one of them, who thought amusement park rides were illogical, is missing his glasses, which I thought I'd have to point out as a continuity error, but they actually acknowledge on the first page that he's wearing contact lenses. Why is the frickin' Kool-Aid Man comic better at remembering these details than most mainstream books? Anyway, the contact lens gets found by Professor Klein, the guy who had the spaceship in the first issue, who hands it back to the kid. I thought it was some new kind of bug. Oh my god, I've got 2 tarantulas in front of my eyes! Don't you remember us, Professor? You know us. We're the ones who went into space with you! After they reintroduce themselves, they ask what new project he's working on. Here's my latest invention, a time machine! He brought his time machine that he put on wheels to a 4th of July picnic and is casually showing it to some random children he can barely remember.
Yeah.
We're only on the second page, people. Pray for me. Nearby, the Thirsties are watching, upset that people are having fun. They are led by a single one of their number known as Big Thirsty. Nice try with the name Big Thirsty, but the only evildoer out there who can have that moniker is, of course, Big Dicks.
They're having more fun than anyone should be allowed to have. We'll have to put a stop to that.
Aim high, guys. They
Aim
managed
high.
to sneak over and unleash a bunch of ants onto their food, followed by using their heat powers to fry the meat on the grill. Despite the fact that, well, they look like that, nobody seems to notice them doing this. Hell, they even managed to get off with all the Kool-Aid, which for some reason is being stored in identical-looking pitchers.
Where did all the Kool-Aid go? Don't worry, there's got to be a logical explanation.
Ghosts. The heat intensifies and everyone starts complaining. My kids are hot and thirsty. This is all your fault, Harry. Yeah, Harry, stop having power over the weather and teleporting all the beverages away, you dick. The kids finally spot the Thirsties and summon Kool-Aid Man for help, who, like Candyman, appears when you call his name, naturally smashing through the picnic sign. Harry is delighted by this destruction, because he knows to not anger the creature that can walk through the sign like it was paper. The Thirsties run off and immediately head into the time machine. They're going into the time machine. I hope I remembered to turn it off. Well, considering it's not, traveling through time right now, I'm guessing you probably did. As they enter the machine to get the Thirsties, the professor also says this. I know I turned something off today. Maybe it was the shower. Perhaps it was your brain, Professor. However, when they go in the machine, there's no sign of the Thirsties. It can't be.
What?
They're gone. Time travel is impossible.
Thanks for those 2 disconnected thoughts, kids. This comic is terrible. I hate touchscreens. Another kid sees that the dial on the time machine is set for 1773. And I noticed that the timer dial has specific years set on it. Time travel isn't impossible according to this comic, but it only has a limited number of places you can go, I guess. One panel later, and with no setup for how or why it's happening, the Kool-Aid Man and 2 of the kids are now hurtling through the time tunnel from Doctor Who! I am not kidding here. One panel, dial set for 1773. Next panel, like it or not, Kool-Aid Man and his friends tumble through time after the Thirsties. What the hell happened? Does the time machine create a portal that they step through? Is it the worst designed time machine ever and it just sends whoever's inside of it back in time, even though all the controls are on the inside? Therefore, there's no way to bring you back? But yeah, the Kool-Aid Man and 2 kids are now in the friggin' past. Naturally, none of them are too terribly confused or horrified by that.
Hey, who stopped the music?
Is the implication with that line that the music disappeared from her tape because it hasn't been invented yet?
That is not how time travel works.
My
Seriously.
friends, allow me to introduce you to the most infamous panel of the Kool-Aid Man comic.
Excuse me, sir. Aren't you Benjamin Franklin?
Yes, I am. I am also hot and thirsty. Also, what in God's name are you? Oh, I wouldn't worry. He must have thought that the heat was making himself hallucinate.
We're too late. The Thirsties have already been here.
Or, it was just a really hot day and Benjamin Franklin was thirsty. Just a thought. The Thirsties commandeer a boat after an officer asks for their tickets, apparently not thinking that these monstrosities are anything unusual, and openly declare their plans.
We're changing course to change the course of history. We're gonna steal all the tea in Boston and make the Boston Tea Party the thirstiest party ever.
What's funny is that with the evolution of slang and language, it sounds like they're saying that everyone at the Boston Tea Party is gonna be really horny. Spotting the crew of the ship fleeing and screaming that their ship has been hijacked, the Kool-Aid Man assumes that the Thirsties must be responsible.
Oh no, if the Thirsties wreck the Boston Tea Party, it'll set back the American Revolution. We may never celebrate the 4th of July again.
And You know, probably a few other things will get undone, but good to see you have your priorities straight, kid. The Kool-Aid Man, a criminal mastermind that he is, steals a horse for the three of them to ride on and try to warn people of the Thirsties' approach, a la Paul Revere. Just FYI, Paul Revere's ride wouldn't happen for another 2 years. The Thirsties are coming! The Thirsties are coming!
Oh
so,
my
just to
God.
recap this comic so far, the Kool-Aid Man has traveled back in time and is riding on the back of a horse announcing that a race of monsters that make people thirsty are planning to alter the course of history because they don't like people who have fun.
I've had nightmares like this.
Who is that big red fellow? I don't know, but I don't trust any redcoat. I think my bigger problem is that I would never be able to trust anyone that I can drink. But Papa, we have no tea, and we're thirsty. I was gonna mock the idea that you would go for a hot drink when you're thirsty, but then I remembered.
Hot drinks really get you going.
By the way, the Boston Tea Party was in December of 1773, so these kids should be friggin' cold as all hell in their summer clothes.
Yep.
Anyway, the Thirsties are on their boat. We Thirsties harbor grudges against everybody. Now we can wreck the 4th of July fun forever. It's a good thing I am telling you Thirsties this. How else would you know that Thirsties hold a grudge against everybody? The Kool-Aid Man is informed of the Thirsties' presence on the boat and crashes his way in. I don't believe it. You creep stole everything there is to drink in Boston. You even took the Dr. Pepper, and that shouldn't even qualify as a drink. Oh, what? Yeah, that's right. I said it. Let it all out. Come on. Man, the Thirsties work fast. There's only like 3 of them, and they deprive the town of all sources of water and beverages out there. Big Thirsty flees while the Kool-Aid Man beats up the other 2. And there's a speech balloon saying, "Going somewhere, Big Thirsty?" Except it's pointing at Big Thirsty, meaning he's saying it to himself. It's not even like you could misinterpret that line going anywhere else. That stem is bigger than any other on the page and is aimed right at him.
Right.
Big Thirsty grabs a sword while the Kool-Aid Man blocks with his pitcher, eventually getting Big Thirsty overboard and into the water. I always knew Big Thirsty was all wet.
That's not even a pun.
You did it,
Wow.
Kool-Aid Man! You saved the 4th of July! The space-time continuum just got dumped in the water along with the tea, but that's okay. We still get to scare the crap out of people's dogs on July 4th. Crisis averted. And as we can see here, the course of history has changed, and they're all disintegrating thanks to the revised timeline. Or, as we see on the next page, they're transported back to the present. They're back! All we had to do was adjust the dial. Your time machine is poorly designed! And so the story ends with the Kool-Aid Man handing out Kool-Aid while they watch fireworks. And the assembled group says in unison, "Any time or any place, you can always count on Kool-Aid to beat the Thirsties." My God, he put some kind of mind control drug in the Kool-Aid! Oh, but of course, we're not done yet. There's a second story, a camping adventure, that features the other set of characters from the first issue. This group of kids is carrying all their camping gear through the woods. The campsite's right this way, I think. Don't worry, Mr. Green. If we keep hiking long enough, we've got to find it. Oh boy, I can't wait for us to meet the Blair Witch. However, the Thirsties are nearby spying on them, making plans to screw with them. They've put up a false sign about where their campsite is, directing them to a cabin. Little do the hikers suspect that the cabin is a Thirsties trap. The Thirsties leave behind the Necronomicon Ex Mortis in preparation for the kids to be attacked by the evil dead. Boy howdy, that'll make the kids thirsty. While the group rests up in the cabin, the Thirsties project more heat at them while also stealing their gear. You know, things are going badly for the Thirsties when their first plan was to time travel and change the course of history.
Right.
While their latest scheme is steal camping equipment.
Right.
Spotting the Thirsties stealing their stuff, they try to give chase, but they're all too hot and exhausted to pursue. As such, their only hope is to summon the Kool-Aid Man, who naturally comes through a wall. Now they're hot, tired, thirsty, and they have to pay a lot of money in repairs. The lesson here, never go camping. Of course, the Kool-Aid Man makes quick work of the Thirsties, retrieving all the equipment. They invite him to stick around and make camp with them. That night, they're huddled around a campfire. Okay, gang, I've got a great tale. This adventure happened just yesterday to kids in a summer camp not far away. I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm gonna give it to you straight about Jason. His body was never recovered from the lake after he drowned. No, instead, the Thirsties attacked the summer camp, disrupting their lives because no one has ever tried punching one of these things and even putting up a sign that reads, "No food, no fun, no anything." I see they plan to steal the time machine again and prevent the Big Bang from happening. The kids at the camp summon the Kool-Aid Man for help, and he quickly drives the Thirsties off. What a great story! It serves those Thirsties right for being so nasty. Some people tell ghost stories around campfires. The Kool-Aid Man tells a boastful story about how awesome he is.
Yep.
That night, while they're sleeping, the Thirsties return and start pulling up the tents. One girl wants to get the Kool-Aid Man's help, but another kid says that they're always asking for his help and that they should try to fight the Thirsties without him for once to do him a favor. Unfortunately, their first plan, tying them up with a rope, just leads to a tug of war since the things are surprisingly strong. The Thirsties soon overpower the kids and gag them so they can't summon the Kool-Aid Man for help. We're going to a place where not even Kool-Aid Man can find you. To a different Food Mascots comic. You think it's hard for them to speak, what with their tongues hanging out all the time? Anyway, they're brought into a cave and the Thirsties decide to sleep. Fortunately, the kids are able to get their gags off and use their dark chanting to summon the Kool-Aid Man, who bursts through a cave wall and no doubt starts a cave-in that gets them all killed. Or he chases the Thirsties off again and brings the kids back down to the camp. The kids were right, Kool-Aid Man. You are a real hero. If it hadn't been for you, the Thirsties would have ruined everything. Let this be a lesson, kids. Never try to fight the Thirsties on your own. Just let them annoy you until you can summon up the only creature capable of combating them. And so our comic ends with everyone cheering for the Kool-Aid Man while drinking his blood. Later, when the kids ended up finding Jason Voorhees, the Kool-Aid Man refused to help because it wasn't Thirsties related. This comic sucks. Yeah, I know, goofy promo comic for children, but dear lord, is this thing just ridiculous as all hell, and not in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. The Thirsties are generic and lame, and the two different stories are... One's a bout of insanity, and the other is okay for the most part, but having the unintended message of don't fight evil people or you'll screw up royal. It is certainly not the worst comic I've looked at, and maybe I even overreacted to the first one, but damn it, the Kool-Aid Man is a life form that makes no sense. He's a public menace who destroys other people's property and probably plans to use that time machine to go back and rename America Cool Country or something. Although, still less frightening than Mr. Computer. Next time, it's over to more promotional comics and dumb children, for it's time yet again for the Tandy Computer Whiz Kids.
Sweet Jesus. I feel better with this music. Hold on.
Sitting on my couch reviewing comics, the worst words that you will ever see. It's sad that comic books are for geeks, but they're not. They're for everybody. If you doubt that I am amused, I am a man.
Just a thought, but since the first 3 issues of this book were produced by Marvel, that means if we follow the logic of their other licensed properties being canon to the Marvel Universe, then the friggin' Kool-Aid Man could have also been canon too, which means he's also canon to the other licensed books in the Marvel library. So we could have had Godzilla versus the Kool-Aid Man, and I really want that to happen now.
And with that, I'm gonna get up out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Like, comment, subscribe. The Kool-Aid Man is basically Jesus, and he belongs in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This has been Master Real Sakurai, and I'll see y'all again. I'm out. Peace.